Tristan with Nerdette's NewsStand, and if you plan to read Death Metal number 5, click away now. We are going to talk spoilers, mainly when it is related to the Omniverse, but even so, the warning is there. Click away. We're all on the same level playing field, right? So, we're going to talk about Death Metal number 5 in some extent. But what we're going to talk about is the little clues that we've been given to not only how things are on the page, but behind the scenes, but also how things will be going in the next few months, March and beyond, right? There is a lot in these couple little pages that really clues you in to what to expect and why it's going to be similar to DCU, but also different than DCU. And there was some really great things that came out of DCU, like All-Star Section 8 and some of the other stuff, but this is going to be different. Now, let's talk. But before we do, make sure you leave a like and a comment. Let me know if you are enjoying the Death Metal run. I know there are a lot of people that are, and I know there are a lot of people that simply think it's too convoluted. I think I'm somewhere in between. I'm enjoying it, but my God, Scott Snyder, you need to make your lines more clear, and you need to get to it. And I think we finally are. We only have 2 issues left. So each crisis event, right? Despite giving the heroes victories in time of DC Comics. I'm talking about even Infinite Crisis or Final Crisis or Crisis on Infinite Earths. There's plenty of crises in DC. But despite giving them each a victory, the very fact that the universes were reworked and remade and altered would create something called crisis energy, and that would be out in the area, right? And I like how they kind of they go with the whole thing, you learned in high school, energy can't be created or destroyed, right? So they have to have a reason to create this crisis energy, and that's when even though they had victories, that's when it was created. So despite them saving the day in these crises, they made things worse. And they are just coming to realize that through the entire timeline of the DC universe. The heroes, of course, never knew that they were making things worse, but it was finally revealed in Death Metal number 5 that they actually were making things worse. And crisis energy, what they are using to fix these crisis events, was made of fear of the truth. So when you think of crisis energy, you need to think of fear and, how's the best way to put this? Kind of hiding things, right? Now, let's talk about anti-crisis energy. And I'll put something on screen because it is a lot to remember. But anti-crisis energy is truth and transparency. Basically, crisis energy was DC and editorial lying to themselves and refusing to accept the truth that infinite Earths equal infinite possibilities. And if you look at it and look at all the retcons, crisis events, were just DC's way of kind of fixing things, but not going all the way back to a pre-crisis event. So when they fix something, inevitably, a few years later, a few months later, tens of years later, something always needed another crisis event to straighten out the knots that they had created over the years. Now, they didn't go all the way back to pre-crisis time because they wanted to keep it controlled and limited. And now with the Omniverse, it's unlimited. And even when we talk about multiversity and stuff like that, I did a whole video, right? With the 52 Earths, while full, absolutely filled to the brim with originality. Once Morrison set up those 48 Earths, you still had plenty of potential, but they were still classified, they were still limited, And really, honestly, nobody messed with them. There was still the Milestone universe and the other universe that were left open for other people to mess around with. Nobody did. We had multiversity and not a whole lot with that title afterwards, right? Well, regardless, some may say this is good, and I agree to a point. When you look at it, it's still keeping, DC is keeping a leash on things, right? And thus, going off of crisis energy, still hiding from the truth. So when they are using crisis energy still when it comes to multiversity, they are still hiding from the idea of the ultimate omniverse. Also, like a lot of things Morrison does, he sets things up for people to really benefit from and people play with, and they should have just really done more. I'll leave it at that. But there's a lot into this. But when you look at this specific picture, and they kind of use the knots as reference, right? And it does make sense. They're undoing the knots. But the only way to do that is with anti-crisis energy, is with truth and transparency, right? And the truth that they need to come up with is the fact that an omniverse would make the most sense. It would make everybody happy. It would make an unlimited amount of possibilities. And it would make up for the divide in fandom. It would make up for the political lines divide that is so divisive nowadays, right? It would make up for all of that. And I do know that some exclusive contracts got signed to include stuff like this. One specifically I know is Sean Gordon Murphy for the Murphyverse, right? That can be its own world. Now, why is this different than DCU? I know a lot of people have kind of brought that up, and there was some things that were really good on DCU. The only thing I really didn't care for, now that I'm looking back at some of the titles, was Omega Men. I really did like All-Star Section 8, Bizarro. Some of the titles were great, right? But there is a simple answer to why this will work and DCU didn't. It is editorial freedom. And when they did DCU, they kind of recurated characters haphazardly, didn't have any explanation to any of the drastic changes. Very few exceptions to that rule. I would say for the most part, they didn't give any clear explanations. And you could tell from writer to writer who really cared, right? And they were more shakeups than anything else. It's honestly what a lot of it was. And that's kind of the main reason why this will work, because that was shakeups, right? And it was still set on a new 52 Earth. Yes, it had looser continuity. Yes, but they were still restricted to one Earth. How much can you do with one Earth compared to 52, which they didn't touch? How much can you do with 52 compared to a whole omniverse? And I think that's where the answer lies. They need a little bit more editorial freedom, and I know they have a good base of editors there right now doing just this. And I know that we will see a decent put out. I'm not completely convinced yet. I'm like 80% there. And I am excited to see what the future holds with the Omniverse. But when it came to DCU, besides Prez and Justice League 3000, every single title was set on one Earth. You have freedom now to an entire Omniverse. So you've got crazy, and the best part about it is it's trial and error, right? So we have people asking a lot of times, and I've covered it a lot of times, for Harley and Ivy to be together, to be happy together, to go on ventures together. So you create an Earth where Harley and Ivy can be as gay as Twitter asked them to be, and super happy and lovey-dovey and oh my God. And then you have an Earth, say the main Earth, where Ivy is still, going off of the Booster storyline and still recovering from Joker War, and she gets her own title there. Well, let's see. How do you decide which story stays and which story goes? You can weed them out through sales. You can really get it down to brass tacks which titles stay, even if they're being demanded by people on Twitter or on any social media platform. If they don't sell, they don't sell. You get rid of them. You end it. You make it 6 instead of 12. So I do think this is a great way to weed things out. I do think we got a lot more clear explanation. There are still a few things that I'm questioning. Obviously, when we get to the end here, we are going to have the end of time and space, and how is Batman being dead going to kind of convert over to everything. And so we'll have to wait and see, right? We're just getting the battles with the different Earths. But everything matters. Everything matters, which is awesome for stuff like, not Alan Moore, oh my God, Green Lantern, right? So he had a family before they changed him to gay. Guess what? His family now matters. There was a bump, and now he's split off into two. We have a Green Lantern that's gay, and we have one that has still Obsidian and Jade and everything else. So I really think this idea could work. Can people pull it off? I think it's really going to come down to two people. And it's going to be hard, but I have faith in them. Marie Javins and Ben Abernathy. This lies on their shoulders, whether it works or not. Now this, like we talked yesterday about my foundation and house and yard kind of metaphor, this is the foundation for the DCEU. They're going multiversal also. So if this works in the comics, this is setting up that kind of tie-in we've seen with Yara Flor and the CW show compared to the comics. So very cool, very convoluted. There is a lot there. But like I talked a long time ago about my kind of theories on, this was kind of the Batman Who Laughed was more AT&T and a fight between AT&T and Warner Brothers, right? Between Perpetua and The Darkest Night. I still think that stands true, and we actually kind of see that, whether it is them telling us, well, crisis energy is basically lies and hiding, and anti-crisis is truth. Anti-crisis energy is truth and transparency. So yeah, they're definitely showing us that there is a lot going on behind the scenes, but in the end, everything matters. So, oh boy, I'm sorry if this video was crazy convoluted, but so is the source material. I try to explain it the best I can. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about the little metaphors within it, how they're going to go from here, what kind of stories you'd like to see in the multiverse. And of course, make sure you hit like and make sure you subscribe for more. Oh, just absolutely insane content. That's what we'll call it. Okay. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. Hey guys, I want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon and subscribe stars. You guys literally make this channel possible. Huge thank you to Cage the Mick, Robert Mick Twiz, Black Knight Fool, Brucey, Chris Z, David L, David Rafford, Jeffrey Allen Carnes, Mighty Balls, Mike Buckner, Maizen Barbosa, Ruskar, Ryan Decker, Robert Hoffman, and Doc Holliday. You guys are absolutely amazing, and thank you so much for all your support. Don't forget on the way out to like as always if you enjoy the content, and hit subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.